Grace and peace be with all of you. Please be seated. What are you looking for? This question pops up all the time. And when I stopped to think about it, I was afraid to even count up how many times I get on Google during the day, right? Because that's what we do now. You're looking for something, you're looking for a solution to a problem, some advice, some information, a product. We hop right on the internet. I use Google, maybe use something else. It turns out every day there are 5.5 billion questions posed to Google. That's 3.8 million a minute. It's crazy. And what we're looking for changes all the time, doesn't it? Right? Like, I don't very often Google the same thing twice. So as human beings, we're always looking for something. And if you were here last Sunday, we talked about this, how curiosity is this engine that drives us forward as human beings and really drives human history forward, I think you could reasonably argue. So what are you looking for? Jesus asked the disciples. And I don't think it's a question that could be Googled, right? It's a bigger question. What are you looking for? And much harder to answer. There's not a search engine that can do it for us, sadly, although sometimes I think we wish. So what are you looking for in life? And I think more often than not, we say, well, I'm not really sure, but I'll know when I find it, right? It's one of those, like, I know I'm yearning, I know I'm looking, there's a question in my heart. I'm not really sure, but when I find that answer, I'll know it, I'll recognize it. So that I think the disciples don't even know how to ask Jesus' question. They're not sure, and so they turn around and they ask him a question, where are you staying? Which is a reasonable question, right? We're going to follow you and we want to know where we're headed, where we're going to end up. Is it too far for us to walk? Is this a reasonable thing for us to be tagging behind you? And if somebody asks you that question, you would give them your street address, right? So as soon as you drop that word rabbi or teacher in the gospel text, again, the question becomes a little deeper, a little more meaningful. And really what they're asking is not just where are we headed physically in space, but also where are you staying? This verb in the Greek, meno, means where do you abide? And that's an old-fashioned word, but it's a really interesting and useful one. So you may remember in that other part of the gospel, in the other part of the Gospel of John, where we hear about Jesus being the vine, right? Abide in me. That same word is being used again. John likes this word. And so abide, I think, is where we're all lined up, right? Where we have integrity, where our mind and our body and our spirit are all in the same place. And let's be honest, in this contemporary life, I think that doesn't happen very often, right? Like you can give your street address, but you can be sitting inside your house, and I think it would be fair to say that we are not always abiding in our house, right? We're physically there, but our mind and our spirit are somewhere else on a screen, right? On a trail of anxiety. So this abiding has to do with our mental, physical, and spiritual integrity. Are we all lined up? How much of our day do we spend that way? Where are those places where we can do that? So that's what the disciples are asking. They want to know, where are you physically staying? And also, what are you teaching? How do you live? I want to come see. Do you have integrity? Is what you say and how you do and how you are, is all of that lined up? These are disciples of John the Baptist, and if they're going to jump ship, they want to know, are you really someone who's a person of integrity? Are you really all there? What do you have to say to me? Is it worth following you? And I think those are questions we are always asking of Jesus. Are you for real? So, in our contemporary context, I think very often we are told and encouraged to think that as individuals, we come into the world and then we make our own meaning. Right? I don't know if you've heard people say that sort of thing before. But if you think about your life as a story, right? And that's how human beings understand meaning, right? Through stories. You don't come into the world and then make up your own story and your own meaning. You enter into a story that was already being told long before you ever showed up on the scene, right? Think about your family. You change things when you arrive, but your family has a whole story that goes back way before you. This is interesting to have this kind of conversation with your children, right? Because they just cannot imagine, like, oh, you had a life before I was born? How could that possibly be, right? It's when you realize, oh, my teacher goes to the grocery store. They don't just live at school, right? So we enter into a story that started long before any of us. And then our job, maybe the meaning-making part, is figuring out, how do I fit into this story? What is my role? Do I align myself with this story, or do I go look for a different one? And I think that's what we're doing in church a lot. We have scripture, we have this story from the beginning of creation that has an arc all the way to Revelation, a story that God is telling, and God is inviting us in. Do you want to be part of this story? Let me show you what it's all about. Come and see what this story is about and where it's headed. And Jesus never strong arms people, never forces people, you must participate in this story. Here's your job. Like a commanding officer, do this. That's not how God works. God invites us, come and see, is this your story too? Are you going to join in? Do you all know how MRIs work? Yeah? Okay, some people are nodding. So the way it works, it's really interesting. So the magnet is so powerful that it lines up the polarity, the plus-minus sign of all those subatomic particles, lines them all up. They're all random to begin with, and then the magnet comes in and says, you will all line up like this. And that's what they do. And then as the magnet is released, and they go their separate ways, that's how we get the image. God does not work like an MRI. God works like leaven, a little bit of yeast, a little bit of salt, a mustard seed, person to person saying, come and see. I'm inviting you. Then after the invitation, that's where the important thing starts, right? So those disciples go and they spend some time with Jesus all the way till 4 in the afternoon. I'm not really sure what that detail means. It's very intriguing. Like, Why is that so important that it was 4 in the afternoon? I don't know. I'm going to look into that. So they spend time with Jesus and they decide, right? This is the one. I found what I've been looking for. And they make a choice. They choose Jesus. They walk away from John the Baptist. They choose Jesus and they commit. They have no idea what they're in for, do they? We know, but they have no idea. And we're in that same boat now, right? Because that's what discipleship is. It's that moment where you're invited, come and see, and you make a choice and you set your feet on the path, on that way. And that's when the adventure of discipleship begins. God is always asking us those questions. What are you looking for? Where do you abide? Will you join me? Amen.